Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to day 24 of the document, The Road to 100 Million. My name is Josh, and today we are going to talk about a few different things. I'm going to do a little bit of an Ask Me Anything because I don't really have a topic. And yesterday's video, if you haven't caught it, check it out, was super intense, I thought. Action-packed, everything else. So I was like, let's cool it down a little bit. We'll kind of do an Ask Me Anything. So think of your questions if you want. But here's my only thing. Let's keep it strictly to business. So it can be about ListEasier, the document, anything you want to ask. No holds bars. Or no holds barred. Net worth, investing, sales. These are things, Shopify, eBay. Those are things, branding. Those are things that are in my wheelhouse. You can ask me anything you want about that and we can get going. That might be fun. But just personal stuff, I'll just skip over because it doesn't help anyone. That's just like curiosity. Okay. So that's the Ask Me Anything. If you're interested, it's good engagement. Let's do it. I'm going to click on my own live, as I always have to do, to see, might be fun, where we are with the comentos. Los comentos, the comments. Everyone's starting to roll in here. Okay. Let's start with what's changed in the past 24 hours for ListEasier. This business here, the document, not a whole lot. Again, it's just continuing to roll through. Cassette tapes are being listed. Books, a lot of books are being listed. We had good sales. It's just rolling. I noticed though that we're back into this payment kind of gap. So we're not going to receive any payment, I don't think, from eBay until the middle of February or so. So it is what it is. Today, I am finalizing that big deal. So that's going to get shipped hopefully tomorrow or the next day. But we really need to get that here as soon as possible because it's already kind of a month overdue and we want to start working on that. So that big $5 million deal, if you've been watching me for a while, I talked about how we purchased $5 million worth of listed inventory. Listed, everything is listed here. So the first tranche of that gets delivered, I hope this week or this weekend. That would be really, really helpful. We are starting to run out of our queued up inventory. We're flying through it. So we're at $150,000 listed. We probably have enough to get us through to the middle of next week. That's not the end of the world. If need be, we will do another purchase. It's out there. We know where it is, but I would prefer to have the big deal started. I want to get that stuff here. Super Dave wants to get that stuff here. Like, let's get that rolling through the system, and that will give us a lot of breathing room. So there's that as well. The documentation part of things. So we had the equivalent of an IRS filing. This is our first filing. This is a big deal to me, not to anybody else, but to me it is because it's very process oriented and there were several steps and I had to learn all along the way, and the accountant kind of guided me through it. So having that complete really felt good. This is an opportunity, for ListEasier and the document. It's an opportunity for us to be caught up and above board at all times with all our documentation. So that just doesn't mean SOPs, but like registers and AGMs and filings and all that. So we are way above board and we're mostly caught up on everything there. So that I really like because in my own sole proprietorship, it was something I always, you know how it is. You guys all know how it is. You're busy. It's like always something. I always felt behind, and now I feel like we're always caught up. It just feels so good and so right. And I think a lot of you using the software are starting to feel that too, where you have the time to do what you need to do, like taxes, et cetera, et cetera. So that was complete. And the last order of business changed in the last 24 hours is deal flow. So we've had, including this big deal that's going to get finalized after this live is done, unless they call me before that. But I mean, I would do the deal live here. I would do the deal live here. The only problem is I have to make a final payment, which means my credit card number will be, I don't want to give my credit card number away. But otherwise, I would do the deal live. I think it'd be super fun for you guys to see. So that after the live, that should be finalized. And then there were two other big deals that kind of crossed the table. One is only semi-related to us, but benefits us. And then the other one, what was the other one? The other one happened yesterday as well. So that was a deal that was signed. So really a lot of kind of deal flow going back and forth. Now let's talk about the numbers. Let's talk about the numbers. 2 accounts in the document. These are both eBay accounts. ListEasier_records, ListEasier_books. You can go to eBay now if you choose and hit the Save Seller button on either of those accounts, and you can watch this stuff go up. Might even find yourself some good deals. We have noticed that we've dramatically underpriced some records. So if you know that stuff, you might get a deal there if you're interested. We have listed 6,367 listings, and we've done it in 24 days. Awesome. Absolutely incredible. Way outpacing anything I've ever done in my eBay business, ever. So that's incredible. How much have we listed? $152,131.33. So again, numbers have really boosted over the past day. Spencer the Oracle has been hard at work, grinding away. I don't know, grinding, but working away, getting this stuff up. I went to the back of the warehouse to see what the queue looked like. And I was like, Spencer, you're kind of almost through everything. Like you're flying. There are a few more pallets there still to go though. And then of course, 24 days live. And our total revenue is $6,301.10. So that's gone up a fair bit too. So these numbers are incredible, all things considered. We still have account holds for payments because we're new. So a lot of things, like that still, it's a brand new account. I am extremely pleased with our progress so far. Very, very happy. It's been incredible. And we're just going to continue to move forward with this. So pretty awesome. So that's what's been going on. Now, if you have any questions, please ask them. Please ask them in the chat. Anything you want, anything you want. Again, you can ask about ListEasier, and I'll do my best to answer everything. The document, any questions you want to know, anything you're like, I kind of want to ask, definitely send it out there. Investing, net worth, Shopify. I know a bit about Shopify. Branding. I went through that whole struggle of branding on eBay. I think that's important. Business principles. There are some principles in business that I learned that I think are probably some of the most important things that really helped me along. I would say the number one, it's stolen from Steve Jobs, so not my own personal opinion, but just be customer focused. Don't focus on money. That's all important. Keep it. All that stuff is important. I understand, but just focus on the customer. Always be, how can I make this better? How can I improve this for the customer? What does the customer need? Reaching out. What do you need? On eBay, that was always something that people dissuaded me from doing. They're like, don't talk to the customer. You're going to be opening up a bee's nest. And I was kind of like, I'm just going to do it anyway. And people will say, it'd be nice if this, if it would be nice if that. And when you get enough of that information, you can start acting on it. So that to me was huge. That was my number one thing, is customer focus, pure customer focus. I have nothing to lose. Do the best possible. What could make this better? And many times, people are going to say, well, they're just going to ask for free stuff or cheaper, but that's not necessarily just it. There's a lot that you can do for the customer that really could make a difference, really could make a difference. So it's always making it a bit better for the customer. So that's always been a big one. Okay, let's go into the live chat. So that's it. There's nothing earth shattering because for us, it's just business as usual. We're just working away. I think these big deals that are passing through right now, that's our primary focus, is to get those signed or not signed, depending on what they look like. And, getting this inventory here. Really, it would be a huge load off everyone's mind if we could get that stuff delivered. Then at least we know we have 6 months worth of inventory on the back end, and we're not in a position where we're, having to scramble trying to find good deals and get that stuff to the warehouse. We want to get this stuff delivered as soon as possible. So the deal, it's going to happen right after lunch or after this broadcast. So excited to close that finally. Cesar Nunez says, hi from Edmonton. Gotta be cold and full of snow there in Edmonton. I was there once for Heritage Days. Long time ago. The thing I remember about Edmonton was, I think it was 10 in the morning and there was a lineup almost a block long at the beer store. And I was like, this is true Canadian here. Jared Rodeffer says, Josh, you were so right yesterday. Listen twice. Today is the time for resale, better than the internet. Young resellers have no idea how good they have it right now. I totally agree, J.R. Rodeffer. I felt very good about saying everything that I said yesterday. There was a time like this, which was before my time, in the late 80s with antiques. It's still not the same as the opportunity you have right now with AI software. But there was a time where antiques went from largely undesirable to extremely desirable, and it happened in a very short period of time. So things like a grandfather clock you could get for next to nothing would all of a sudden be worth, $20,000. So that market was hot. I remember when I was younger going to the flea market with my parents looking for antiques, and the parking lot was full, stacked, packed full, and stuff was not cheap, and people were buying. And then all of a sudden it wasn't hot anymore. So, that was a thing that happened at the time. And it kind of coincided with Antiques Roadshow and all this other stuff, but it was a really hot market. This is more structurally developed, like structurally wise. This is going to lead to a larger boom for a longer period of time. It encapsulates the entire, basically connected world depends I don't know what the world's going to look like, but every consumer that shops online can be impacted by the changes that are being made right now to these platforms and to the third-party software that connects to these platforms. It was really incredible. It's shifted. And I think it's long-term, like a 10-year run here where you can go from almost nothing to having a very cash flow positive business if you play your cards right. For many of us, JR, right, because you're saying it, but we understand the pain of having to list stuff like 30 items a day, 40 items a day, 50 items a day. That was a tall order. It's not anymore. It's a half an hour once you get good at it. That's a huge shift. That's a huge change. It is a huge opportunity. And it's especially a big opportunity when most people don't do it that way. So most people are still 30 a day, stressed. It's a major accomplishment. They are, grinding all day long. And then someone does it in half an hour. It gives you such a huge competitive advantage. And they don't even know you're doing it. They don't even know you exist. You get that leg up. Eventually, and I don't know how long of a time frame this is, but I'm already starting to see this flip in conversations where people once were saying, AI can't replace me, I'll never use it, blah, blah, blah. The conversation has switched now to which AI lister are you using? Like, which AI lister do you use? You're seeing the narrative. So this means that it has been accepted that this is now common practice for the most part. It's just, which one are you using? That is the flip. That's the flip that's happening now. But widespread adoption is going to take quite a long time, I believe. Upstate Picker says, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you. Hope you're doing well with your ephemera. Mr. Andy Reno, I think you're in Ohio, right, Andy? How's it going, Mr. Galt? 2 below here, 2 degrees below. It's colder there than it is here. Lucky Find says good morning. Good morning to you. Joe says good morning. Good morning to you. J.R. Rodefer says in 1981, we started with rag sheets and a landline. Yeah, the old cold calling. I still cold call. I still do cold calls. We, you know, that's kind of part of our business. Like the ListEasier side of the business, I still cold call. Uh, and yeah, people don't, most people don't know what that's like to cold call. That's a tough business. It's a really tough business. Uh, Tony Mesa says it's go time with ListEasier. Welcome, Dan Tone. Appreciate you. Eric Bressy, woot woot, day 24. Welcome back, Eric. Let's say you were here so that you didn't break your streak. Technically, because you texted me right after the broadcast, you're technically there. So you're on a 24-day streak. Snoopy Collector shoots the blood out the fingers. Good to see you. John J. UK says, hi, Josh. First time I found you, I seen you on a podcast with Bo. Do you ever hear from him anymore? I don't hear from Bo. So Bo, I like Bo. I consider Bo a friend. Bo Johnson, for everyone out there. He does YouTube. He's very innovative. He's got a great business mindset. He's out in Washington or Oregon somewhere. He switched over to Whatnot. I know he was doing big bulk with Whatnot, and he was hiring people to assist with the shows. They were broadcasting those shows live. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he's still doing that, if he's only on Whatnot. I know he was listing on eBay, starting to list on eBay again, but that guy is a hard worker. He is a good person, and he's very innovative. So I don't know what he's doing because I haven't heard from him in a while, but whatever he's doing, my money is on him making it, whatever he's doing. James Helversay says, if I ever grow up, I want to be Dave and be called Super Number 2. Who does Number 2 work for, James? Flip It Good says, hi, Josh. Good to see you. Welcome, Flip It Good. Diane Vanderlinden says, good morning, good afternoon. Good morning or good afternoon to you. Primo Chemo says, I'm just here to say aloha. Remember, Primo Chemo is live right after this. So generally, we all just take our ball and we head over to the Primo Chemo channel and we just kind of talk about things that are working and not and everything else. Great conversation over there. So head over there at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time once we're done here. Primo says also, what will I be when I grow up? Nobody knows. Rin Resale says, my girlfriend and I made the decision to move out of state to Georgia, where she's from originally. My mom specifically is devastated at the thought. Any advice on balancing doing what's best for your future and your future children while trying to be empathetic to loved ones who don't understand or don't want to? Yeah, you got to live your own life, Rin. You got to do what's best for you. So I would say, to your parents, hey, look, I understand that you want us around and close by, but I got to do what's best for my life because that's what you did. And if you were to say that to them, I'm sure they left home and they did all sorts of things as well. So understandably devastating, it's sad, but we only get to live once and then we die forever. In the ground, it's over. You have to do what you want to do. You have to follow your own agency. If you live for other people, you'll never be happy. And surprisingly, they won't be happy either. At the end of the day, although they're sad that you're leaving, they truly deeply want the best for you. And, having that conversation saying, look, I have to live my life. I love you, but I got to do this. This is part of who I want to be. It's my identity. It's calling me. I need to be there. And I just, I thank you for building me into this person who has the strength to take these kind of risks as you have done in your life. My parents immigrated here. Like they left right across the pond. So for me, I thank them, but I got to do my thing too. It's the only way everyone's going to be happy. Can't live for other people, unfortunately, even people closest to you. And they say that out of wanting the best for you and wanting the best for themselves. But if you got to go, you got to go. You know, that's how it is. Steve Vash says, Aloha Primo. I hope everyone is having a good day. Good day so far here, Steve. Good to see you. Kelly the Surf Dude says, hi, Josh. I sent ListEasier support an email a week ago, and it's been crickets since the last update. It's giving special characters in the titles now dashes, colons, commas, taking up valuable space. Thoughts? Reach out, Kelly, to Dave at ListEasier. So go to support, click on profile, and just say, hey, Dave, it's Kelly. And check to make sure that the support message that came back didn't go into your junk box or your trash folder or whatever. But I would just reach out, just send out another support ticket through your profile, customer support, be like, hey, talk to me, like, what are we seeing here, everything else, and he'll be able to help you out. J.R. Rutherford says, okay, weird thing. What is the little blue up arrow that appears when editing certain fields? When I roll over, there's no description. I don't know. You have to send me a photo of that. I have no idea what that is, JR. A blue up arrow that appears when editing certain fields. I don't know. Click on it, see what happens. Diane Vanderlinden says, yeah, I'm doing a Shopify store for my handmade stuff. It's a learning curve. The thing is with Shopify, you've got to build the site through Shopify. Well, you don't have to do it through Shopify, but it's the easiest way. That was a big learning curve for me because I'd never programmed anything before. So using their templates and building the site and making sure that everything connects properly and you don't have any dead pages, that was a learning curve. I imported my products and they were not optimized. In fact, they were poorly placed, and it had a noticeable impact on the performance of my store. So when I brought everything in and put it through Google Shopping, I did incredibly well, but over time, those products started falling off. They got disqualified primarily because they were used and not new. I didn't understand how all that worked, that Google primarily wants new products. They don't want used products for their shopping feature. And it dramatically impacted the sales on my store. So that was a big learning curve for me. If you want to use Shopify, you don't have to, but you should sell new products, classified as new, and then optimize those listings for SEO rank. James Helfersay says, I got a question. If a train leaving Los Angeles at 12 p.m. and traveling 99 miles per hour, how long will I be sitting on this toilet? Exactly 2 hours. Exactly 2 hours, and not a second more. Southern Vermont Vintage says, hope everyone is well. I enter the Antique Roadshow every year, which reminds me about that time to enter. Never won a ticket yet. One day you will see me there. Awesome. I hope to see you there. Dende Cordipo says, good day, Josh. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Eric Bressy says, thoughts on ListEasier with a cross-lister? It's coming. It's certainly coming. It's on our roadmap. Like I say that all the time, but we have some back-end items that we want to work on. That's probably next. And then, these things will sequentially happen. So before a cross-lister, these other things have to happen. Otherwise, if you build too far ahead of the roadmap, you have to double back, fix the things or do new things that you should have done in the first place, and then go back, and then that all has to get repaired. So if we don't do it sequentially the way it needs to be done, it's going to create problems in the future more time. So really, for us, it's always, I'm going to say something because it bothered me earlier, but when we optimize, right, we really focused on optimization. And the whole thing that was happening as far as the discussions with AI was concerned was that optimization wasn't important. You know, it was that cross-listing is the most important thing. And our argument was that optimization gets you onto the LLMs and onto Google, which is where most of the shopping is happening. So getting your eBay items out there, because eBay's infrastructure allows you to do that. Like, they have the ecosystem. You just got to give it a little boost and put it out there. So that was our focus. And to really get that working, and because a lot of the way the algorithm works is very opaque. It's not like it's proprietary information to eBay. So it's not like they just plaster it out there that, hey, this is how it works. You have to do test after test after test after test to see what works and what doesn't. So what did that mean? While the focus in the conversation was on cross-listing, we doubled down and we tested hundreds of thousands of items, not through just James and Scott, but our own stuff, to see how this stuff was getting placed off-site and to see how it was optimizing. Finally, we launch with optimization. All of a sudden, everyone says we're getting great off-site sales. ListEasier optimizes. We're getting great off-site sales. So others went out, copied the descriptions of our listings, and then reverse engineered it. And they say now we optimize as well. So that was, and not only descriptions, but item specifics and everything else. And they're like, oh, we do it too. So this is the same for me with cross-listing. We have to innovate. We have to keep competitors on their back foot. We have to be the leader in this. And, even cross-listing, we don't want to just dump listings onto platforms. When we get there, we want it to sell. We want it to be optimized. We want it to be so good. We want the bar to be so high that that's how it is now. We want to set it high. So cross-listing, if we wanted to do cross-listing, we could have it rolled out within a week. It's not going to help anyone. It's a Ferrari. It's going to be perfect. If we wanted an Oldsmobile, we would have built an Oldsmobile. You know what I mean? Or a Pontiac. No offense to Oldsmobile or Pontiac, but my parents had a Cutlass Sierra, and that thing was a box. And so was the Pontiac Parisienne. Axe Monkey says, I want to grind every day, all day long, but last year I lost balance between family, friends, and work. This month has been a good start to the year. I'm working less. I need balance. Yeah, don't kill yourself doing this. You don't have to anymore. The difference between you working a uninterrupted solid 4 hours and 8 hours, the delta isn't that much. It feels like it should be, but it really isn't, because that extra 4 hours might eat into, time you need for yourself. So I'll work 8 hours and I'll kill myself, but that extra 4 hours, now you're exhausted. You're like, I'm too tired to get these other things that I need to get done. They start piling up. Eventually it's going to lead to multiple days off to get caught up. That's not what we want to do here. A solid 4 hours, you can list hundreds of items, really. I mean, depending on the items, and just have the discipline, just keep taking that 4 hour block and doing your thing. Make sure you get your shipping done. List your items, go out and buy some stuff. That's it. None of this working till 1 a.m, 2 a.m, getting up early, falling behind. That's the opposite of what we want, because it's not sustainable. You can do it for short periods of time, but eventually you burn out. I know that for myself, because that's how I was doing it. I did it for years and years and years. And I just watched my health start to decline. I was exhausted, wasn't sleeping well. I was stressed all the time. And that's not how to run a business. That's not, the focus should be building repeatable systems and processes. Then eventually you put someone else in that position where you say, okay, I've refined this enough, it works enough, that I can put somebody else here in this chair to do these processes. I will take the risk regarding growing the business, innovating, defining all this other stuff. And then that process of the work, repeating the work, that's a job. That could be a job for someone. a good job. Maybe there's someone part-time who needs part-time work or whatever the case may be, and you can focus on innovation. So that's the mindset that I have. If you burn yourself out, you know, that's the wrong way to go. Indianapolis. That's right. Indy. I forgot. Sorry, my friend. Kenneth Oro says cold calling was terrible. Brutal. 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 I've had cold calls where I reach out to people and then we were emailing back and forth and all these requests and all this work that they asked us to do. And then you do all those things, they just ghost. You never hear from them again. That was supposed to be a partnership. So yeah, cold calling is tough, but also you learn a lot with cold calling as well. So I don't want to completely write it off because you do learn a lot with cold calling. You really do. Ms. Unites, B-Newt says, greetings, Josh. Good to see you, B-Newts. Welcome. Southern Vermont says 2 feet of fresh snow out there in Vermont. Mike Seller says, good morning, Josh. Is there something? And then we jumped. Is there something in the works to refresh existing listings? That is it's on the docket. We got so much, Mike, that we got to do. The roadmap is like so long. We have super cool features that we want to add, but there are just important things that need to get done first. It's like, there's every rollout, every feature, because the infrastructure is so complicated, it just takes so much back-end work. So, but it is on it's on the roadmap for sure. By the time we get to it, I wonder if everyone's going to have all that stuff sold already. James had McDonald's last night. Right on. Don Flippin says, hey. Good to see you, Don. Welcome. Southern Vermont says, amen. True story. John Flippin' Ain't Easy says, hey, Josh, looking forward to tomorrow. That's right. We have the Profit Playbook podcast. We're going to be recording it. I think we're going to have a surprise or two for everyone. So tune into Saturday's PPP. I think you'll enjoy it. It is going to be a blast recording the 100th. This is the actual 100th episode of the PPP. Hope everyone checks it out Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check it out. It should be a blast. We have some surprises on the docket. Ren Resale said, appreciated the insight. I believe all you said, but sometimes you convince yourself you're doing wrong even when it's the right move. Yeah, your gut will never lead you astray. I do believe that. Everything I've gotten into where my gut was like, no, this is wrong, but I've convinced myself otherwise, it's been trouble. And any decision I made where my gut was like, I know this is right, but I convinced myself otherwise, I regret it. So, you gotta live your life. Cesar Nunes says, I wonder, why do so many people hate AI? Cesar Nunes from Edmonton asks, why do so many people hate AI? This is actually a really, really good point. Okay, I want to talk about this. I don't believe that they hate AI necessarily. Like that is very, that's a strong statement. But here's what I do want to say. The AI workflows are very innovative. So it's not like you're asking people who are running businesses who depend on this for their income. So you're changing their workflow completely. It's not like, hey, this is something that, you can add on and, it puts a little bell or a whistle on top of it. It's a workflow change. So if someone depends on this income, they want to be sure that this thing that's going to change their workflow does what it say it does, right? It feels like a risk. And when something feels like a risk, you're like, it's too risky, and you come up with reasons why. So whenever I hear kind of opposition to it, I know those people have not used the software, and they don't understand. But once they use it, they get it. They're like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this earlier? You guys see it in the comments all the time. People say, I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. So I think that's what it is. It's disruptive to workflow. We have signed some, and we see it with enterprise clients. We've signed some enterprise clients who are like, listen, I do X amount of dollars a year, insert big number. This has to work, period. Convince me that this works 100% period. And it's like, once you get using it, you'll understand. You hear from them a week later and they're like, wow, this is incredible. You never hear from them again. They just use it and they keep going and going and going and going and going. So I think a lot of the opposition is like, are you sure? Are you sure? But now, as you see the conversation flipping from, I don't know if I should be using AI. I don't know. It's risky. That was the argument 6 or 8 months ago. Now the argument is, which one are you using? Which one performs best? So now there's this understanding that, hey, this is how most people are doing it. Like, no business person wants to be left on the sideline watching other businesses make all this money while they defend, decisions that maybe are holding them back. So, and there are going to be people that say, oh, I tried, it's not for me, and that's fine. It doesn't, whatever. I got to understand, I'm just speaking broadly here, but people are not just going to sit on the sidelines, get left behind. They understand now that this is the way things are getting done. And I think that narrative of, I don't believe in AI, or I think you'll see that very quickly move away. We noticed that too, even in the software, because the people who sign up now there are a lot of businesses. It used to be, you'd see people from YouTube, you'd recognize their name, and these are businesses that we've never heard of. They're brand new. They've never been on the channel, and they're signing up. They go to the videos, they learn it, and then they're off to the races. So everything is changing now. It's really starting to change, and it's changing quickly. Beanud says, it's okay. I pre-cooked grocery store chicken last night. I've got some in the fridge. I'm going to have that, by the way. Whilst the wife went to the Dead Red Lobster with her bestie next door. Nice. Rin Resale says, I think the AI hate stems from the fear in the job market. Big corporations are going to replace millions of jobs. It's unavoidable, and you have to adapt. Broadly, yes. Broadly, if you talk to someone who's not in e-commerce, so that's our group, right? We're all business owners. We're insulated. We are business owners talking about AI in business. Outside of that, people, when they think of AI, they think of the Terminator movies. They think of greedy corporations replacing jobs, like wiping out entire departments. And those are real concerns. Those are valid concerns. That's not our application of AI. Our application of AI is taking our businesses. Many of you don't even have employees, and make it more efficient. So if you do have an employee, you give them the tool, it makes them more efficient. That's the application from our standpoint. We're not inventing killer robots or anything, but that does exist out there, and it's valid. That's valid. AI is in drones. They're putting it in robots and robot dogs. These are valid concerns. So niche applications are incredible. The broader conversation that happens in society, I understand it. You can't say that that's not a valid concern, because it is. Beanud says, I've never looked at Shopify, so it's like an e-commerce content management system. Yeah, Shopify is it's just a web platform, basically. So it is a host of tools that allow you to sell on your own website. So they'll help you develop your own website. They'll help you incorporate the payment systems. If you need stuff like, I don't know, like WordPress add-ons, you can get that. You can get eBay, little apps that will connect your eBay store, all these different things. So they provide basically every tool you need to build a polished website, put products on that website, and then get paid. That's Shopify in a nutshell. Eric Bresci says, James, you will get your listings up on ListEasier before you get done on the toilet. Missy B says, good morning. Listening as I am taking photos this morning. Nice, nice, nice. So far, we have taken almost 6,000 pictures this month, and most of it is now listed with ListEasier. That's awesome. Missy, you're 6% of the way there through your slides. 6% of the way there. Kelly Surfdude says, Josh, I did the support option through ListEasier, and it gave me an AI response, but it said, while special characters are not recommended by eBay, ListEasier is continuing to use them. Go past that. I'd rather have a human respond versus AI. Yeah, Kelly, go past that. You can go past that screen. So when that AI screen comes up, just put ask my question anyway, and it goes through. That's not a blocker. You can keep going. The only reason why we have that AI screen there is because people ask largely the same questions. So if you have 4,000 users, you might have 500 people ask you, how do I add pictures? How do I send the listings live to eBay? How do I set up my shipping location? That's why that's there. It's to answer those questions. Otherwise, we get 500 support emails and it's all usage questions. So that's what that is there for. Like, hey, here's what you need to do. If you want to add photos, click on add photos and then go to your folder and then click on the photos you want, and then it will import it into the software. So that's why that exists. But you can go past that. If that doesn't answer your question, just say, I need to speak to a human, or I need this to go through. So the customer support is still there. And of course, you can reach out to me, Josh at ListEasier. You can come on to these lives. I'm here. But yeah, you can continue. That's not the end. You can still send the support ticket through. Beanut says Shopify has a decent market share of internet storefronts. I'm not sure if they are ahead or behind WordPress with WooCommerce. Yeah, WooCommerce is big as well. BigCommerce is also. There's a lot of enterprise level businesses with BigCommerce. Okay, I'm going to skip the dictionary stuff. Eric Bresci says, thanks for explaining that. Makes sense. No problem at all. Beanut says that you do learn a lot from cold calling. You do. You certainly do. Southern Vermont says, used to breed kids to work on the farms. And we're talking about goats, by the way. Although, Southern Vermont, I think you have kids, so maybe both. Breed them today to list on eBay. Kind of catchy. Breed them today to list on eBay. What in the world are you talking about? What in the world? Don Flippin says, I did notice today I did flex listings on a black Goonies shirt skull map. The AI said it was navy blue and it was a sloth skull. Yeah. Once in a while it's off, but that's why we have those fail safes in place. So you know what? If it got it wrong, which happens every once in a while, just be sure to correct it. Something like black versus navy blue, like it depend on lighting too. That's a tough one, but keep your eyes open for sure. Diane Vanderlinden says, lately I've been beating myself up a lot about missing opportunities and not following my gut. Yeah. Your gut doesn't lie. Your gut doesn't lie. I have even found it with content. I've watched videos, and you're always like trying to get information, right? You're always watching videos, you're reading. And sometimes with people, I'll watch a video, I'm like, this person just doesn't sit right with me. Like there's something not genuine about this person or whatever. I can feel it in my gut. And almost always something happens with that person. You're like, yep, I knew it. I knew that one was a problem. Don Flippin says, I also got an eBay cliche with the multi-quantity. An eBay cliche with the multi-quantity. Beanut says that how people are shopping, the 18 to 41-year-old crowd is going AI mania in shopping, or not knowing the difference. Like younger people don't know the difference. AI is something that they've grown up with. It just makes their life easier. They don't even think twice about it. My kids don't talk about AI really because they just take it for granted that that's there. Like ChatGPT is their internet. It's not a big deal to them. That it's just part of the vernacular. Whereas, for as you move up in age, it becomes a bigger and bigger deal because you saw all these changes. So it's like, whoa, what's going on here? This is such a huge deal. For younger people, it's not. They use it for everything, absolutely everything. There isn't an assignment that is given in school that isn't completed with AI these days. Like they all do it. The music they listen to is AI music. The videos they watch are done by AI. And for me, it bothers me. If I see an AI video, I just turn away because I'm like, I don't like it. It's not real. They don't care. They're like, who cares if it's real or not? It doesn't matter. That's the generation that's coming up. It will be intricately woven. They are not resisting it. They like it, Missy B says, my AI hating daughter just came in the room and told me she did a book lot on ListEasier, and it is so good that she is not even changing the title. I think that means you hit the pinnacle, Josh. Say hi to your daughter for me. We got you. Lag loves Red Lobster. I don't. Last time I went to Red Lobster, they didn't have any lobster. They said the only thing they had were these lobster stuffed mushrooms, and they were gross. And it still wasn't real lobster. Best lobster I've ever had, either in Boston or it's got to be Half Moon Bay, maybe. Half Moon Bay. The lobster rolls in Half Moon Bay. Jovial Juggler says, greetings all. I think it's Thank a Plugin Developer Day, so I'm going to take this opportunity to say thank you to ListEasier crew for making a positive impact on so many lives in such a short time. Thank you, Rhonda. I appreciate you 100%. This goes to frame this back into business is just make it better for the customer. If your customer wins, by default, you're going to win. The whole thing with ListEasier is to help people make more money and save them more time. It's not a promise, right? You could use ListEasier and be getting dollar store items and price them at $100 and they never sell, and you say it doesn't work. It is what you put into the machine as well, but it will do its absolute best to rank you highest both on-site and off-site because that's what it's built to do. And I am a firm believer that if you stay focused on that, remain focused on that, everything else will work out. I am a true believer in that. And show gratitude when it does work out. We show gratitude. We're thankful. Binut says, according to Adobe Analytics, holiday sales, November to December, showed retail channels are up 691% in AI-based referrals over 2024. You know what an interesting conversation would be, B-Nudes? Is what will artificial intelligence do to ads? So advertising, what is the overall impact going to be on ads? Ads are great across social media because it might get people interested. It might get people who are already interested buying, so they have latent intent and they buy. But someone who is specifically searching for an exact item, that is running through an AI that gets perfectly matched with the sell side. So what is the need for ads in that case? Like, how do ads improve that? It doesn't, right? That's brought together perfectly. You would almost have to make ads ubiquitous to capture that value. Just make everything an ad because it's paired so perfectly. So if you still want to capture advertising revenue, you have to make everything an ad to keep that revenue coming in. Otherwise, maybe it becomes difficult to capture. It's hard when one puzzle piece, the search side AI, and one puzzle piece, the sell side AI, perfectly match an item. Where's the room for advertising there? It's directing you exactly where you have to go. That's a change that maybe is coming in the future, or maybe has already arrived. Dendekor Depot says, well, you're replacing my lister help who is deep in her junior year of college now and probably won't be back. Good for her, though, for getting on her way. That's awesome. So that's good news, Dendekor. That's awesome. So now your lister is in the form of a online employee. Steve Baxter, there's a new name. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Says, I had marital problems, needed to unleash all my items in store. Now I'm ready to relist. Those items I originally listed with ListEasier have no pictures. Any workarounds to recover? Steve, so this is an issue that has been going on. It is on eBay's end. We've spoken to them. If you send me an email, I can send you back what they sent to us. They're aware of the issue. I believe that they are fixing it, or it has been fixed. I think it's not necessarily a ListEasier problem. It's a when something was listed and where it was listed, which server, not a ListEasier issue. Once we push our items out to eBay, that is now on their servers. It gets relisted on their servers. It's their thing. So they know about it. They're working on a solution to that. But send me an email and I'll send you what they sent me. Beanut says they claim AI drove the banner holiday season sales, beating all prior years. That's awesome. Diane Vanderlinden says at Intuit, this year, about 20% of our training was using the AI and 80% empathy, engagement, etc. They really push the human side of it. Well, that's an interesting thing too, Diane. So rather than having people, customer service, deal specifically with the problem, which AI can solve, the human is dealing with the emotional side of it, like the empathy and the yes, we can, and everything else, but then using AI to actually solve the problem. That's interesting. I was on a phone call today, Diane, where I found that the customer service agent was answering everything so succinctly and so perfectly that I think my voice on the phone was activating an AI like a chat GPT that was, while I was talking, was solving all the problems. And he was just speaking it back. Like that kind of hybridization is incredible. I just couldn't believe like there were no uhs or ahs. It sounded like he was reading, but he was solving everything. How cool is that? So now your customer service agent is like a chat agent. Like basically, hey, I'm here, I'm a person, I'm trying to help you, but the problem solving is there's no frustration. It's being done by the AI. That is crazy. Fizzbear says, hello. Welcome, Fizzbear. Lucky Fine says, what are some stocks that are going to the moon, Josh? I don't know. That's a young man's game or a young woman's game, is jumping around. I used to do that in the market. I'd jump from here to there and everywhere else. The risk with that is trying to keep up with the momentum, is that one time you're wrong and you lose a lot. That's the thing. Most people lose a lot. It's very high risk. So you can do well for a long period of time, but eventually you get caught. Something happens, even with stops. I've had it before where I placed an order with a stop, and then it wasn't clear whether or not the order went through, and I had to call, and I was put on hold, and and then things went wrong, and I lost a lot of money. So I am in the stage of my life now where it's more about protecting what I have. So for me, it's very conservative. I feel like I've gotten to a comfortable place. I want to be very conservative, very risk averse. I don't want to lose money anymore. I don't want to lose money anymore. Ren Resale says, I'm 30 years old and I didn't think Google it would ever be replaced. The younger generation's first choice is ChatGPT. Sure, ChatGPT will solve your problem. It will find the information very quickly. It is not very ad dense yet, whereas Google has now become very ad dense, so that search results are becoming almost irrelevant sometimes in certain, keyword searches. Bing is a write-off. Bing search is a complete write-off. It's just ads. That's all it is. But yeah, ChatGPT is also framed so its own internal prompting is to make it be like, hey, That's a great idea. Doesn't that make you feel good? You ask it a question, you're thinking along the right lines. It's good for you to question that. Let me just put it in context for you. Like this thing always agrees with me and it's always helping me. It feels amazing. It's done with intention. But it is very helpful. It really is. Bar Harbor, Maine, says Den Decor Depot, was the best lobster I've ever had. I've never been to Bar Harbor. Literally watched it go from the boat to the pot at a roadside stand. I had that in Halifax, Nova Scotia, where you could buy the lobster on the pier and then they would bring it to the restaurant and cook it for you. I did do that in Halifax. The only thing was I didn't appreciate it because I was like 19 or 20 years old. I was poor and I probably had like 10 beers in me, so I don't really remember it. But I do recall how good lobster was in Half Moon Bay. And I don't know if they caught it fresh, but I would imagine it was so good. The lobster rolls were, oh my gosh. Don Flippin says, okay, so do we still need to promote on eBay? Yeah, I think so, Don. Honestly, that's a good question. Do we still need to promote on eBay? I believe so. So eBay, introducing ads on site, the ecosystem of on site, eBay controls. Even a little bit off site. So it's hard to get ranked off site if your account isn't, in high standing. It's not going to perform as well. If you are in good standing, top rated plus, doing all the things that eBay wants you to do, it within their ecosystem, they can put qualifiers in to say, show, 4 out of 5 items shown have to be promoted. We don't know that they do that. I don't know what they do, right? I'm not accusing them of anything, but they can certainly put those qualifiers in. And people who advertise on eBay in general see better sales. That's just how it is. You can not care about ads and list your items anyway. You can, do your best to only find the best things possible. But on average, you'll get more sales if you use ads. That's just the way the ecosystem appears to have been developed. Now, promoting off-site is a whole other ball game. Binut says the room for advertising is basically sucking the brain thoughts out of people by their actions and then targeting them in focal ways. This is what MNTN, Roku, various others, Meta, all anti-social media, search engines, retailer apps, etc. are all grinding. Eat the neurons. Eat the neurons. Andy Reno, Indianapolis. Indiani says, work around for the pictures are to go to the original listing and you can grab them off there. There you go, Andy. Thank you for that. That's for our friend up there. It's way back there now. I don't see it anymore. Sorry. Lost it. Diane Vanderlyn says, yeah, it's amazing. We do look up in AI and read it back. Yeah, for sure. Lucky Fine says, I ran into a little bit of a problem yesterday with Flex and you guys took care of it right away. Thumbs up. Thank you guys. Yep, definitely reach out, Lucky Finds, to us. Josh at ListEasier. You can come onto this live and I can do my best to answer it. You can contact customer support. You can go to the videos if you want. You can use our AI support agent if you want. If you go to the ListEasier videos in ListEasier U on YouTube, I recommend everybody watch that. But in the description of those videos, there's also written information. So if you are more of a person that likes to read as opposed to watching the videos, it's also written down. So, Eric Gunter says, there's a YouTuber that works at a car dealership. Their service department uses AI to answer the phone and set appointments. No human, total AI. The channel is Benzes and Bow Ties. He made a short and showed himself calling in to make an appointment. I feel mixed. I have mixed emotions about AI and customer support. I've noticed it ourselves that most customer support is very simple problems. It's like, how do I upload a picture? How do I log in? How I forgot my eBay password. Like we get stuff like that too. Like I forgot my eBay password, and we're like, we can't reset your eBay password. You have to do that on eBay. Those little things are really easy to answer, but if you get someone on the phone, you know, you could talk to them for quite a long period of time and never actually suss out what the actual problem is, or it's just really simple to answer. So, that's why we put that there, but you can always contact. We're here. We're everywhere. We're everywhere. No one else is coming here, doing a live. We're here. We're here. Always here. Live support. Okay, last one, and then I'm going to go. I think someone should create a kid smartphone that's just a phone. And for any kid to do anything outside using the phone to parental approved. Yeah, my kids have that. My son has a cell phone, and there are locks and approvals on it so that he can't just browse the internet and go everywhere. But I'll say this, B-Nudes, they're very smart. So he found he could get onto Facebook. If someone sent him a Facebook link, he could go onto Facebook. Or if he was using Facebook Messenger and they sent him a link to Facebook, he could get onto Facebook. So they're smart enough to figure out ways. They do figure out ways. With that, everyone, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you all. Have a great day. Good luck with your sales. Let's get it, and we'll see